Like many of us, Tammy Anderson believes her local public school shaped her life.
Certainly for me, as a girl who I think was influenced the most in my primary setting, that's where the positive experiences happened. It's where I saw people being successful.
30 years on, she's now the principal of her former primary school, preparing young pupils for the rest of their education.
I think that high school can be quite a different time for kids, and knowing who you are before you get there is critical.
You can see the inside of the lily pilly.
About half of the students at the school come from Indigenous families. Putting culture and community in the classroom is a priority.
What I love about these ones,
Tammy Anderson and the teachers believe this sense of belonging is what keeps kids at school.
in traditional times, we use their dreaming stories about making sure that we use their morals about leading our young ones as well.
Yeah, it is very different from when I was here as a child. I think teaching and education has evolved so much in the last 40 years, and one of the biggest things that I've seen is the building in of Aboriginal education.
Not all Australian schools can provide this support to their Indigenous students. The majority of Aboriginal children will be educated in the public school system, but there's very few Indigenous teachers or principals in those classrooms. In some states, they make up less than 1% of the public system's teaching workforce. The recent Closing the Gap report shows that Indigenous students are still trailing behind non-Indigenous children in literacy, numeracy and writing skills. Attendance rates aren't on track either. While the Year 12 attainment target is on track, over the next decade the government is aiming to close the gap entirely. These kids might help fix that problem in the future. With so many positive role models at their school, not only do they want to complete Year 12, they have their sights set on university.
I want to teach at Broward Public School because I think it's really fun teaching at this school. I know my principal came from this community and is now the leader of our school, and I feel like I can be like her and make a difference in our community.
Government data shows the biggest gaps exist in remote areas.
I used to get frustrated when I would go and see Menindee School perform somewhere and they wasn't up to the standard, because all we did then was keep our kids down.
Fiona Kelly is another proud Aboriginal principal helping her home community. This is her old school. It educates mostly Indigenous kids from kindy to Year 12.
Basically, the whole school's my cousin, and when I'm at school, I treat everyone like my family.
Physically, just so different. It was, we only have one building that is remaining here. There wasn't the relationships that we are so focused on now. It was more like the teachers were just there, we were the students. Teachers told you what to do, you did it.
Many generations before us and before the kids in classroom today had very negative experiences in school. Parents, like any other parent, want the very best for their kids, but sometimes they find it hard to interface with a modern day education system.
Mark Rose has been a teacher and advisor on Indigenous education policy for decades.
It's working hand in hand with the community, listening and pivoting to the needs and aspirations. That's where success will be.
After a decade of community engagement at the school, they're reaping the rewards and closing the gap. This is the senior class, and 100% are expected to graduate.
I didn't think I was gonna make it this far, but yeah, here I am. I feel like everyone supports me and everyone wants to see me succeed, and I think that's with all the students.
ORI, which one comes first?
But now there's another challenge ahead for the school. Another part of the government's new strategy is to get 70% of those new graduates into tertiary education.
Oh, so you're at Monday?
Currently we don't have a lot of kids really interested in that tertiary education, but what we have found is 7 out of the 8 kids have some form of employment.
Tammy Anderson is sure what they're doing at the school will not only lead to more high school graduates, but a new generation of leaders.
My hopes for the children, and particularly Aboriginal students, as we move into the next decade, would be around being able to compete in a mainstream environment, but with your identity, heritage and pride out in the forefront.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.